Hi Aquarius, welcome to your end of April 2022 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. Okay. Oh, it's funny because I was just thinking to myself, I feel like I'm getting a lot of relationship issues, but you know, we just had this full moon in Libra, and it's funny because I felt like it seemed like super intense, and it reminded me of Scorpio. It's funny, the death card is connected to Scorpio. Reminded me more of a Scorpio full moon than a Libra full moon. And so that in and of itself can bring relationship issues to the forefront in some cases. In my case, it didn't, and it wasn't, you know, a perfectly fine situation, but sometimes that's what happens just by the nature of the, you know, regardless of what house it falls into your chart. So the heart of the matter is the Strength card. And this can be interpreted in two ways. In the physical sense, I mean, it could be something like your strength training. You can just some literal bodybuilding or whatever that means, strength training. Can you tell I have no idea what that means? I'm sure, I think it has to do with lifting weights or something. But in addition to that, physically can be your immune system. If your immune system is back up and running, if you had like a some sort of a weakened immune system, or anything to do with, yeah, I mean, usually that's what, when we talk about health matters and we're talking about strength, the two areas are, we're talking about, does a person have physical strength? Like, can they lift things without feeling like, you know, it's too much for them? Or is their immune system really strong? That's what we usually think. So that's why I'm looking at it from that perspective, health-wise, and that you're kind of coming back maybe. But also, if this is related to your emotional life, that your inner strength is becoming greater. And sometimes this can be if somebody has broken up with a partner and they are still hooked into that person, and it's really hard for them to just let go. It's funny, there we have it. The death card in the past position. This can be the end of something, an irrevocable ending. Or, you know, if somebody has literally died, and it doesn't have to be a romantic partner, it could be a parent or another relative, somebody, a friend. All of these kinds of losses are going to hit a person and make them feel like they're questioning life. You know, it can hit at your, besides just the grief of it, I mean, it can hit at your sense of safety. If you see somebody else who dies, and, you know, it makes you worry about yourself, because, you know, the fear of death is something that is definitely present in a lot of people. Probably everyone in one way or the other, but some people, it really has a strong grip on them, and then it makes them feel insecure about themselves if they see another person going through it. But then you couple the loss of that person, and it really hits home in a big way. But the important thing is that whatever that loss is, or whatever that ending is that you're doing better, that you're recovering, you're getting stronger. But if it was a relationship that didn't work out, and maybe you were affected by it, if you have Libra, if you have the moon in Venus, if you have the moon in Venus, if you have the moon in a sign like Scorpio, which the death card is connected to as signs, just the sign of Scorpio, but or Venus in Scorpio and inner planets in Scorpio, a Libra person can easily have, that makes it that much more difficult. Or just like the moon in any water sign, it hits you harder because you already have that emotional nature. So coming back from that is very significant because you can hold on to that thing very long, for a very long time. The higher message is the Two of Cups. Now, there are several interpretations of this card, and probably more that I'm not mentioning, but I'm reading this more in a more like the bigger picture, more than a literal kind of an interpretation. So this can mean someone who is forgiving someone for what they've done. And the whole purpose of forgiveness is to be able to put behind you an emotional issue. I know some people say, oh, it's more for you than it is for them. And that's probably pretty true, but it also is for them, because if you know the thing about energetic cords, you know this idea that even if we're not together with somebody, we can have like a strong connection with them. And it can be very problematic in the sense that we can't get, when somebody can't get over another person. And this can also apply to other types of relationships, like even parent-child relationships, where you feel like if you're with, like, let's say you are an adult child and you have a narcissistic parent, and even if you're having low contact or no contact, you still feel like very enmeshed with them on an energetic level, that on your end, if you still are thinking these thoughts of resentment or anger, like outright anger or anything like that, to me, that's going to strengthen that negative attraction to that person. You have to get to this place of neutrality, and that could affect them as well. And if you really don't want that kind of energy in your life, you have to learn how to clean your vibrations to the point where there's not anything there that is kind of following things up. So that's how I see forgiveness, but also at a higher level, seeing the good in everyone. But that doesn't mean, spending time with certain people, because even if you see the good in them, you can also see the destructive in them and say, yes, they do have good qualities, but I choose not to spend my time with them because the negative qualities are too destructive to my life. And so I wish them well. I'm not going to badmouth them to others. I'm going to be very generous in my assessment of them, but I'm going to be very cautious too. And I think the Strength card is really having those boundaries. Libra tends to have issues with boundaries, and you may be too willing to receive somebody's acceptance of you, and you have to accept that mixed bag, which can be very negative. The other thing that this card can represent, the Two of Cups, can be this sense of commitment. So if you have, let's say that you did suffer the loss of a husband or a wife or a person that you were seeing that was a loved one, that you were in love with, you may have had to have a mourning period where you didn't have any ability to get involved with somebody new. And that, to me, is really good. Also, divorce or breakup of a relationship, same thing. where there's that period of mourning the loss of it, maybe spending time alone, and then regaining that strength, and then being able to commit to another person, because you're not coming from a rebounding situation, you're coming from a true desire to be with somebody else, and you've kind of worked out what that death card meant to you, which means to me that you fully have put behind a relationship. What crosses you is the Five of Pentacles, and this is a card of a sense of, I'm reading this like in the upright position of poverty consciousness or lack consciousness. These kinds of things happen when people don't really feel like they have, that whatever it is that they have in their life is going to stay with them. So, you know, there are some people and they have multiple loved ones and they still feel lonely, they still feel unlistened to because they have too much emotional emptiness, and they're trying to fill it through other relationships, and it's never enough. And that's how people are with money sometimes. It's like they could, you know, when I say poverty consciousness, I'm not talking about people who really have that, have a lack in their life, because it's not really, that wouldn't really be respectful for me to kind of berate somebody who actually is struggling financially and saying, oh, you just have lack consciousness. No, they have lack reality. Now, they may need to alter some of their thinking patterns about that, but that's not really what I'm talking about. It's a state of mind that is in place no matter what the reality is in a person's life. So they could have a wonderful relationship, but they can only see the possibility of it going away. And who knows, the death card might be something that happened 20 years ago that is still haunting you. Like if you lost a parent when you were younger and now you fear abandonment at every turn, then that's something that is a psychological, but I would call that energetic at a deeper level than just psychological. It's like very much embedded in the person, and you never know. That could even be like a past life type of samskara that has continued to plague the person, where they are afraid of being left, being abandoned. And so they have a tendency to kind of either keep their distance from people and not commit, or they have a problem with intimacy. In some cases, they're very suspicious and they try to be controlling. So that's more of the Scorpio energy. And for Libra, you know, you could definitely have the moon in Scorpio, Scorpio rising, inner planets in Scorpio. So that might be, or Taurus can be very possessive. And that's the thing. Once you can heal this inside of yourself, and it's that this is not something I can just tell you how to do in a 15-minute tarot reading, but I mean, if you're able to do this within yourself, then you're going to be able to enter a relationship and not be fear-based, because that's what it ultimately is all about, is fear-based thinking and acting. What's coming in is the Four of Wands. This is a card of marriage or a new home. So it's interesting. Maybe this is something that the Strength card, you know, the Strength card is associated with Leo, so, and this is another fire energy. This is about a happy home, a new home, family relations being really good. Also, I would say this is resting on your laurels, so to speak. So if you have been going through something and maybe now you are in a period of recovery, then enjoy this last half of the month as you deal with this kind of situation. Oh yeah, and let me think. Yeah, because you just had a full moon in your 10th house of career, so that might also be, I'm sorry, you had a full moon in Capricorn is your 12th house, Aquarius. So that definitely can be letting go of this. Okay, scratch that. I don't know what, I'm doing this in the morning, so maybe I'm still, even though I've been up for hours, maybe my brain is still a little bit. The full moon that we just recently had in Libra is your 9th house. And so this is a house of travel. This is a place of the inner travel that comes from the mind and the wisdom of the mind. And when I think about the Four of Wands, I think about this idea of what is that people are always focused on the home or the family or the relationship, whatever, all kinds of relationships. And it's like there's the outer relationship and there's the inner relationship. And sometimes people are too into the outer, that they're not seeing that you can have a beautiful home and you can have hell on the inside. And so the 9th house is all about your personal philosophy. You might have gotten some kind of a spiritual download at this time that really made clear to you what's important in life. And I would say too that, oh, you know what? I didn't even think about this. What is your 5th house? Your 5th house, Aquarius, is Gemini. The reason I'm thinking about this is, for some reason I thought of like the Death card. Maybe it was a miscarriage. And something that is a death, but it can still be a time when you can make it happen again. So having the courage like to try again. When I think of the 4th house, I'm thinking of the family, but I'm thinking of it from an enthusiastic way. Well, sometimes a woman or even a man, even though he isn't the one who actually miscarries, he will still carry that pain of that situation. It can make them kind of gun shy, to try again. So this may be one of those things where you kind of regain your strength and you're able to do that. The outcome card is the 3 of Cups. This is a card of friendship, maybe bonding over some celebration. So it can be like, it's funny, a wedding, That's why I think of the 4 of Wands in that way. But if this is somebody else's wedding, this brings you together. Maybe you're a bridesmaid. I was going to joke and say, like, I don't know, like what an Aquarian woman, if being a bridesmaid would be like your cup of tea, because it just seems like Aquarians are contrarians and would kind of rebel and saying, I'm not going to wear that purple dress or whatever, that hideous dress. I want to wear what I want to wear, and I don't want to be everybody be matchy match and all of that. But I digress. So the important point is the network of friendship, which is the area that you are connected with, Aquarius, the 11th house, and taking strength from your friends. Maybe you've been through some emotional upheaval and now you're feeling a sense of recovering from that, and now this is when you feel that you can talk to your friends. I know a lot of times people look to friends as their support system, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way, and you feel more comfortable talking to your friends about what you've been through after you've come out the other side. So if that's how you feel, I totally get that. But anyway, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. What I see is that there is a lot of emotion here because you've got 2 Cups cards, but you also have the Death card, which is, you know, an emotional topic, even if it's not literal physical death, but also connected to a water sign, Scorpio, which can be very, like, you know, intense emotions. So I hope that this resonated. If you would like a personal reading, I'm primarily an astrologer. I'm promoting my double readings. They're at a special price. At a special price. They're called deep dive readings. I also have a chart analysis plus tarot, if you like the tarot, called the Whole Enchilada. Also at a special price because it's 2 full-length readings. You can find out more information about that and my other readings at the link below. Thanks for listening, watching. Take care. Bye.